Alright, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be ranking Kendrick Lamar's discography. Yes, I will be including mixtapes, EPs, and compilation albums, but I won't be including specifically the Black Panther album because it's not really his album, it's just a compilation for a movie soundtrack. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it. First off, we got Kendrick Lamar's first mixtape from 2004, YHNIC Hub City Threat Minor of the Year. Now, first things first, the production is very lackluster. You have these very basic or mediocre beats, but what you do have is Kendrick with these more unique flows. You have him on some pretty good hooks and pretty good verses. The replay value, unfortunately, is very low. Again, the production just doesn't let it live up to its full potential. But on this mixtape, you can really hear the potential of Kendrick Lamar as an artist, but I would say it is his worst mixtape though. But overall, I would put it in bad because it has damn near zero replay value, but because of the effort put in, I will give it the benefit of the doubt, especially because we know what he ends up being like. So depending on the person, you might want to hear the mixtape again, but you might not. But I'm gonna just go ahead and put it in mid. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's second mixtape from 2005, Training Day. Now, this mixtape is a step up from the previous year's mixtape. You have a much longer track list on here, and in my opinion, the length doesn't determine the value. Pause. You have Kendrick Lamar going on these insane verses where he really does spit out much better lyrics. You have songs like Hypnotic and Imagine featuring J-Rock and Punch, where you have these amazing instrumentals and amazing verses paired with amazing hooks. Training Day is a YHNIC upgraded, and I definitely think they are both on completely different levels. So with that being said, overall as a mixtape, I'm gonna go ahead and put Training Day in good. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar and J-Rock's collaboration mixtape from 2007, No Sleep Till NYC. Now this mixtape is very interesting because what they did was make one very long song and just split it within 20 intervals or 20 tracks. You have that transition at the end of every song that just goes into the beginning of the very next song, and in my opinion, they did it very well. You have insane verses from J-Rock specifically, who in my opinion carries the whole mixtape. Kendrick did do his thing, but J-Rock was just on something else. Regardless though, you have amazing songs where they freestyle on classic beats like Cream from Wu-Tang, Kick in the Door from the Notorious B.I.G., and Gangsta Party 08 from Tupac. They absolutely demolished this track list. The only thing I will say is that the production is very low quality, especially because it is very old, but I mean, for the quality of music, I think it's still very good. The replay value is at risk because of the production, but regardless though, overall it's a very well put project, so I'm gonna just go ahead and put it in a respectable spot and good. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's fourth mixtape from 2009, C4. Now, the title of this mixtape is a play on Carter 4, which at the time wasn't released yet, and it was because Lil Wayne co-signed Kendrick Lamar, so Kendrick named his next mixtape to pay respects, I guess. But yeah, if we look at the music, bro, it's completely just mid. You have really good songs like West Coast Wu-Tang featuring Punch and Absol, Young and Black, and G-Code, but then you have really terrible songs like Best Rapper Under 25, Take Off Your Pants featuring Absol, and B-Word I'm in the Club, which I'm pretty sure Kendrick himself has called his wackest song. I'm not gonna lie, there's no putting this project above mid because some songs bring it down, but then again, there's no putting it in bad because the good songs are really, really good. So it kind of just it balances out. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put it where it belongs, and that's gonna be mid. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's first and only EP from 2009, Kendrick Lamar EP. Now, this project is great to say the least. You have Kendrick on a very more personal vibe than what he ever did up to this point. You have him talking about how he's done messing around as a young kid and how he's ready to take this music thing seriously so he can make it. I believe up to this point he hadn't really made any serious money from his music, and this is the point where K-Dot gets replaced by the new and improved persona or person, which is Kendrick Lamar. Basically, he just changed his name from K-Dot to Kendrick Lamar, hence the Kendrick Lamar EP. But yeah, Up to this point, this was his best project he had ever made, and this was his last project of the 2000s decade. He was going into the new decade, which was the 2010s, as Kendrick Lamar, and he was no longer K-Dot. I look at this project like a potential or early look to Overly Dedicated. And it really just shows that in the new decade, he was going to be really good at music, which we all know he ended up being. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and put this great project in great. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's 5th mixtape from 2010, Overly Dedicated. Now, this project is really good and is the best of all the mixtapes. You have songs like PNP 1.5, Ignorance is Bliss, and Barbed Wire, which is an insane song, by the way. But yeah, I mean, this project sounds to be like it's almost an album, and rightfully so. You have great features, and they do seem to do their thing for the most part, but I mean, yeah, like, not much needs to be said about this project. Again, it's the best of all the mixtapes, and it's really just a nice listen. So overall, a cool project, better than most. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the great section. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's 6th mixtape, or first studio album. I don't even know, I'm just confused from that. But from 2011, Section 80. Now, first of all, just wow, what a project. So back in the day when I used to bump ADHD, I didn't know that it had a whole project behind it and that the whole project was incredible. You have this novel vibe to the project with the intro in F Your Ethnicity. You obviously have songs like Chapter 6 and Chapter 10 that further prove this concept, but I mean, yeah, this project is incredible. You have some of my favorite all-time Kendrick Lamar songs like The Spiteful Chant, Ronald Reagan Era, Keisha's song, and a huge goated song, Poor Man's Dreams. This project is basically just underrated in my opinion, and it's definitely better than all of Kendrick Lamar's mixtapes. I know I said Overly Dedicated was the best, but nah, I'm gonna take that back, because Section 80 wipes literally all of them. And then not to mention, you have the whole high power movement, and then the title of the project, you know how it's Section 80 to represent Section 8, but with like the 80s babies and how they grew up with all the crack and just all that mess. Overall, just I'm gonna go ahead and say it's an amazing project, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it where it deserves. I'm gonna put it in the amazing section. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's first studio album from 2012, Good Kid, Mad City. Now, do I even have to say anything? You have this incredible movie storyline with Shireen and her being a 304. You have Kendrick Lamar's friend dying at the end of that. You have incredible songs, which I'm not going to say any because every single individual song on the entire track list is a perfect 10 out of 10, and they're all hits. You have arguably Kendrick Lamar's best project with this track list. Again, arguably, but yeah, I mean, I think the whole storyline was an incredible incorporation to a full-length LP, and it was perfect. You have that amazing cover art where you see Kendrick's, like, his family members throwing up gang signs to show that, you know, he was raised directly into the gang life, and not to mention how the black bars are covering his family's eyes to show that we're looking at the storyline through Kendrick's eyes. Just overall, it's an incredible album, one of the best of our like hip-hop generation. And so with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in perfect. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's second studio album from 2015, To Pimp a Butterfly. Now, just when you think Kendrick couldn't make a better album than the one that's called the quote-unquote best of all hip-hop, he drops one of the best of all music in general. You have this album that talks about racial topics, with every song having its own meanings and vines within it. You have incredible songs like These Walls, Wesley's Theory, For Sale Interlude, I, King Kunta, Institutionalized, and Mortal Man. Every one of these songs has so much to say within them, and even if I started talking about a fraction of the messages or meanings behind them, we would still be here literally for hours or even days. But yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is that in terms of quality of music, I do think Good Kid, Mad City is more consistent, but if we talk about the overall structure and deep roots and meanings or messages behind the projects, To Pimp a Butterfly takes the cake easily. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, I can't really place one above the other. It really just comes down to preference, but thank God for tier lists because I don't have to place one above the other. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in perfect, right with Good Kid, Mad City. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's compilation album from 2016, Untitled Unmastered. Now, I don't want to judge this album just because it is a compilation of unreleased music, so to be fair, I shouldn't even rank it anywhere, but what I will say is that it is very good, especially Untitled 01, 04, and 08. They're very good songs that I wish would have made the final cut, but as we know now, they had nothing to do with this To Pimp a Butterfly storyline, but yeah, I mean, with that being said, I'm gonna just go ahead and put it in good, just because there isn't too much to judge, plus they're just unfinished songs, so I'm gonna just be fair. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's third studio album from 2017, Damn. Now, this album, I will agree, is worse than his first two albums, but in terms of quality of music, this project still beats out tons of albums. You have the concept of the song's titles being opposite for the others. For example, the song called Humble really sounds prideful, while the song called Pride sounds very humbling. Same goes for Lust and Love, Blood and DNA. You have 4 or 5 mainstream hits, which is very insane, especially for an album that is this recent. It still has a good amount of hits, and not even that, you have some of his best songs from this album not even becoming mainstream hits, like XXX, Duckworth, Ya, and Fear. It's a very well put together album, and with the lady from the news that said that she didn't like the song Alright from To Pimp a Butterfly, bro, she's just not even listening, bro. But yeah, overall a masterpiece to say the least. You have songs like Duckworth that just show that insane outro, that insane just story message at the end. So just overall, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a respectable amazing. Next up, we got Kendrick Lamar's fourth studio album from 2022, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Now, I used to be very iffy about this album just because of the low replay value, but when we look at the actual messages behind songs like We Cry Together, Auntie Diaries, and Mother I Sober, you find Kendrick Lamar in a mostly vulnerable state, and the project as a whole reminds you of the song You from To Pimp a Butterfly. You have these amazing songs where Kendrick talks about how his auntie Demetrius is Marianne now, and how he relates to calling a trans person the F slur when he himself doesn't want someone to call him the N-word slur, so he kind of contradicted himself his whole life. But the project it's a really nice listen, and when you get to understand the topics and the concepts that are at hand, you'll find that it really is great. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and not put it in the low slot. Some of y'all literally be tweaking. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in great. So that was my ranking for Kendrick Lamar's discography. Let me know how you think I did. Did I do good? Did I do bad? Are any of these hot takes? And with that being said, I will see you in the next video that will hopefully be Kanye West, but he's just not releasing his album. But yeah, if not, I can just do another artist. I know a lot of discographies, so. But yeah, don't mind me. I tried to speak very clearly, but my throat is very irritating and I'm sick, so I do sound different, but just don't mind that, ignore that. But yeah, without any further ado, I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace, baby!